All right, hello and welcome to another live sales chat. This is John Golden from Pipeliner CRM and SalesPOP Online Sales Magazine, joining you as usual from San Diego. And today I am joined by Terry. Yeah, Terry Ogburn, who is in Florida. How are you doing, Terry?
I'm doing great. Very good. How about yourself?
Fantastic. And as usual, I'm joined by my colleague Martha Neumeister,
Hi.
who is in Vienna, Austria. And Martha is going to be looking after the Twitter chat. So if you want to join in, please join in hashtag sales chats
Yeah.
on Twitter, because we love to get your input. We love to get your answers to the questions. We love to get your comments on what we're talking about and make this an interactive session. Okay, so Terry Ogburn is the owner of lead business coach of Ogburn Business Solutions. He's a proprietary coaching system and a personal devotion to the development of others. And so what we're going to talk about today is the importance of learning how to work on your business by building for the future. So Terry, let's get into it immediately. What do you mean by working on your business as opposed to maybe working in your business?
Oh, good. That's a good way to start. And first, again, thank you guys for having me on your show too. I really appreciate that. A lot of times in businesses, we get stuck in the day-to-day. So the idea is that you come up with this idea to start a business, you launch it, you get out there, you buy your coffee, you get your copiers, you get all the stuff lined up, you get all your stuff in play, and then you jump into the technical side of your work, whatever that may be, selling furniture, air conditionings, it doesn't matter. And then you get bogged down in the weeds because each day you get more and more involved in the technical work and you forget to work on your business, like developing job descriptions and the action plans and forecasts and things like that. So we forget to do that because we get down in the weeds too much.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to baseline what we're talking about now. So as businesses face forward, I mean, we're still in the pandemic, but there seems to be good signs of maybe, vaccines and all of that kind of stuff. But then also creative people during this process have seen opportunities, pivoted their business, maybe gone into adjacent markets, reorganized, whatever it is. So what do you think businesses can do to stand out in the future?
Mine has always been, whether it's future, you go back to the past, whatever it is, it's always going to be one thing. And I fall back on customer service. If you make sure, part of my system, part of my trainings is to make sure that the customer is the boss. And if you remember that, and then you put your frontline people, the people who interact with them, if you give them power to interact with them and solve their problems and do that through your systems and protocols, that gives your middle management people an opportunity to actually work on the business and create new processes and new ways to deliver the product better, faster, and easier. Customers will have so much to tell you. That's why these feedback forms and all this stuff works. In the old days, and I think you remember in the sales side of it, we get exit surveys.
Mm-hmm.
If we lose something, why did we lose it? I want to know so I can make it better the next time.
No, absolutely. And I think the other part is, as you alluded to, I mean, there is opportunity out there. So this is a good time for businesses to look at your core business, see how that's performing, but also start to look at, are there other opportunities? Are there adjacent opportunities in adjacent markets, or does your product or service need a little bit of modifying so that you can broaden your audience to maybe compensate from your core audience, maybe not what it was right now. But so what are some of the ways you can get people to think more creatively?
Mergers and acquisitions comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
I work with one of the largest boat dealers in the United States, and through this pandemic, they have gained over 20 new locations by simply going out and looking for these companies that, we're not going to weather the storm, whatever. We'll be there to help them through an acquisition, merger, input money, anything that can help them. And then of course they're growing their brand and they're growing their opportunities out there to sell more boats.
No, absolutely. And I think one of the other things that is critical right now is looking at your infrastructure yourself, looking at the technology you're using, the systems, your digital processes. I think that one of the things that people discovered during this whole pandemic was that a lot of businesses didn't have good digital processes or had paid lip service to systems and operations, and it's come back to bite them. So that's another area I think where people need to quickly figure out the infrastructure, the systems, the processes, the digital processes to make them competitive.
Exactly. And some companies learned that they could send their employees home and they could work from home. Some of my people found out sending their people home was had a reverse effect. I had one story that two salespeople working the same location. One is a low producer before the pandemic, and another is a high producer. The pandemic hits, they both go home to work. The low producer becomes the number one in the store. The one, the top producer in the store becomes the number 0 producer in the store. And it was all because one needed the environment of the sales floor to produce his work. The other, the sales floor, was a just distraction to his sales work. So you just, people, they found out different things. I mean, just all kinds of things. Zoom meetings now are obviously becoming more and more popular.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's a great point that you made. I mean, there about that example of the two salespeople, because I think, yeah, you have to look at what works and maybe look a broader sense about what type of people you need going forward and where they excel. The skill sets are changing. If you're going to have a virtual or remote workforce, you need to make sure that you hire people who can excel in that environment.
Exactly. And this is why profiling, more and more top businesses, and this can be done by small, little business as well, but getting involved with profiling, whether it be the DISC or Omni or there's another one I'm thinking about. But anyway, developing profiles before you hire them so that you know that if you need an expressive personality for that position, that you're hiring the right person. Profiling is becoming more and more important in the way businesses go forward on how to manage them as well, not just on if they fit the right position, but if I know you're an analytical personality and I need you in that position, I have to understand how to communicate with you, that we're actually getting our thoughts back and forth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And just for those listening and watching, there is a series of short 1-minute videos on SalesPOP for how to manage a virtual team. So therefore, if anybody is still struggling with that, they should check those out. Okay, Terry. So one of the other opportunities that people have right now to build a business for the future is improving the customer experience, modifying your products or service to greater meet, customer needs. So how do you go about assessing how to improve both the customer experience and to maybe evolve your product to meet their needs better?
Great question. First of all, to give you an example here, what came to mind was Disney World and Disney. Disney does not see another theme park as their competition. They actually see a company like Nordstrom's. So your guest experience, how do you want your customer to feel? When I work with a client, I want them to write a letter. It's a letter coming from a customer from the time they arrived at their store to the time they left with a product. And describe that customer's experience, feel it, get passionately involved in it, and then make that the standard that you want your business to live up to, whether it's an online business or whatever. What is going to be their interaction? How are they going to feel when they leave the store? My world, it's find them, keep them, and get them to spend more money. If I can keep, it's far less expensive to keep a customer than it is to find one.
Yeah, and I think based on that, what you were just saying there about the end-to-end experience, because I think sometimes people overlook parts of the customer experience. And I think for some reason, like the customer experience is, I mean, if you take the shop analogy, the customer experience is when they take something off the shelf and walk up to the counter and pay for it. But you're missing out the whole experience of coming into the store, what happens in the store, what happens afterwards, and all of that. And I think, you know, regardless of what type of business you are, I think people have to look at the customer experience as an end-to-end experience, not a discrete event.
Exactly. And also in my world, the way I like to see it is the sales process actually starts after the person takes the product home. Mm-hmm. Getting to the store, that's part of it, but there's also a part that people miss too, like with this salespeople I work with in the boating world. I ask them to call after the client has put the boat in the water for the first time, call them the very next day and see how the boat performed. If the boat has to come back into the shop, meet them in the service drive, be there with them to hold their hand walk them through the process of getting the service writer involved, introducing them, making them feel comfortable of, you know, this is their first experience coming through your service department, coming through your service department or whatever. So kind of be there with them and help them, touch them many times after they've send them, you know, follow-up stuff. One other quick one is, I think salespeople forget that new product comes out, and I just bought it. And 2 months, and we all have been there, 2 months from now, a new widget comes out for it. We should be the first person calling every one of our customers and reminding them or explaining what's going on or, you know, what products are available so that they don't hear it from a neighbor or from the TV. Can you imagine hearing something that you wanted would make this boat or this piece the best piece, and then you have to find out from TV and your salesperson knew about it all along? So we miss a lot of opportunities to stay engaged with our customers and our clients and our fans.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think that's an incredibly important point, because I think this is where the experience crashes so many times, and exactly what you just outlined there. It's like if you as you say, if you bring back you have an issue with your boat, but they immediately direct you to the service department and you never see the salesperson again, right? Yeah, and that leaves you feeling, okay, well, that was great. You were all lovely to me while you were selling to me, and now you don't care anymore. So that can actually crash the experience, and that happens so many times where people forget about that opportunity to delight, but also that post-purchasing is where you have your buyer's remorse. You get a little bit anxious about, oh my goodness, did I make a mistake? And if there's an issue, you want reassurance, and you want reassurance from the person who initially helped you.
Exactly. And, you know, and this also is like thank you cards. I love thank you cards. When I was in the air conditioning business, there were thank you cards, obviously, but not as well produced as they are today. I had my own design. That's how important it was to me. It was went to a printer, designed it. But every customer, I don't care if they spent $1 in my store or they spent, $500 or whatever it might be, every person got a thank you card. And it was simple. It was just, thanks for throwing the business my way. I was named after, my company was named after a football team. So it was, thanks for throwing the business my way. A nice card went out. And one of my funniest stories about that is I worked on air conditioners, very limited, but when somebody asked for me personally, then I would go out and do it. And so I go in one morning and Mary Beth says, Terry, you got some calls? Okay, blah, blah, blah. So I get my calls, line them up. I show up at the lady's door, and she opens the door and she goes, "You're not Terry." And I went, "Sure I am." And I pointed to my shirt. My name was on it. Thing. She goes, no, you're not the one that worked on my stove. And I said, "Oh, no, that's Jeff." I said, "I do air conditioning." "Well, why are you here?" And I said, "Well, because you asked for me." If the customer asks for you, come out of your office, come out and talk to them. Don't be shy or whatever. I mean, you have to stay in the middle of your company. I don't think anybody rises to the top or should lead from the rear. I think you should be right in the middle. Find a place where you can hear your customers and understand what they're going through. One of the little customer service issues here, and I'm sorry to do this, but if the person walks by and they say, "Oh, wow, you're making a mess," clean it up right then.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Yeah. Take action. Clean as you go.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. Absolutely good advice. And I think that's good advice too, what you just mentioned about coming out of your office. It's the same thing now as I come out of your virtual cocoon. If you're on a Zoom call, switch your camera on. Even if the prospect or the customer doesn't switch their camera on, switch your camera on, put a face to the name, engage. It's amazing how many people are reluctant to do that. They're happy to be on the sales floor or meet people in person, but they're reluctant to turn their camera on. So like, get a nice space so you don't look like you're doing it with the dirty dishes in the kitchen behind you or whatever. But then just switch on your camera, because that makes a massive difference. And I said, even if it's awkward and the other person doesn't put their camera on, it doesn't matter, because you're making that, you're making that effort, you're getting out front, you're making the human connection.
You know why? Do you happen to know why the camera adds so much more to the conversation?
Go ahead.
Our body speaks 55% of our communication.
Mm-hmm.
Your voice and tones are that makes up 38%. So when we don't have them on camera, all we're getting are words and tones. So we're not getting the full picture of what's being said or what's trying to be communicated. Just a point.
No, and it's a very good point, and I think it's an incredibly important one, because I do think that some people have kind of reluctantly come kind of kicking and screaming to the Zoom or the virtual world. Maybe they're hoping and waiting for things to go back to the way they were. That might not happen. You might end up doing a lot more of this of your work virtual in future. So you might as well just dive headfirst into it, get yourself on camera, get a nice little setup for yourself, and embrace it. Just embrace it. And you'll get the reward for it, because customers and prospects are getting used to communicating this way as well. So you got to get in there and embrace it.
Exactly. And it's just like with Facebook. I'm an old fuddy-duddy, and 2009, I would have told you, what if I would have told you something like, oh, this is going to be a fad, it's going to be crazy, it's going to be over before you know it. Well, look, we've gone through Web 2.0, and now we're in Web 3.0, and it's just what you're saying. We got to get used to it. Like I'm on the Zoom call with you today. My hope is that my camera look is better, because I bought a stand so that I can make my a present look more like I'm talking to the thing. Well, the stand was only $29. I mean, you can put an investment into making yourself look good and sharp. Like you have a nice design behind you, advertising your company, your name. All that just takes a little bit. And I also coached with a karaoke company back in the day. And a lot of times they're afraid to hear their voice, because when they hear their voice, it's not the same as when, you hear it somewhere else. It's not, wait, that's me, right? You know what I'm talking about. So,
sure.
So yeah, it's quite fun to watch people interact on with their voices or whatever.
Yeah. Well, maybe in some future sales chat, Terry will do karaoke. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it?
Oh, you're talking about somebody that can't sing. I'm absolutely your person. I was my roommate at the time needed a ride over to a film. They were going to do a commercial, and they got karaoke for one of the clients or whatever. So I had some extra time, and so pointed to me and said, "Well, you want to give us a preview here?" I said, "Oh no, I don't sing." They go, "Well, we got some extra time. Why don't you do it?" So I picked a song that I could do or whatever, and I ended up being in the commercial.
Oh, wow.
But not because I could sing, because I couldn't sing. So they were trying to draw people in that couldn't sing. So they were saying, okay. So I was used as the prop to get people to come to the show. But anyway, it was quite fun.
Yeah. No, that's a fun story, but it's also a great illustration of sometimes if you just do that, you don't know where things are going to lead. You ended up in the commercial. So sometimes you just got to put yourself out there. Okay. So one of the things, as businesses start to evolve and as we start building towards the future, companies have to be more nimble and able to move quickly and pivot, and they also have to be able to place bets quickly, but they also have got to be able to change direction if those don't work out. So you need your employees and your whole team to be able to move quickly together and to become that much more flexible. So Terry, how do you build that culture or mindset of flexibility?
Great question again. Here's what I use. I'm going to share with you, your listeners. These are 4 things that need to happen, no matter what change we're making, whatever we're going to. First, the obvious point is figure out what direction we're going in. Okay, so now we know what direction we're going in. Now we need to add these 4 things. You ready?
Yep.
The first thing is commitment. That means you got to get all in. That means you got to get all your team in. You got to get all the employees to understand what it is your mission to do. Get them to buy into your mission here, your commitment. Then number 2 is determination. You got to be determined to get there. You can't let the little obstacles. We all know that just before it's dark, just before it lights, it's always dark. We always have oppositions come up. That's when I tell my people to put your head down, just run through it. Get up a little extra earlier next morning. Get there first in the morning. Do something that's going to really determine that you're going to win this battle. Disciplines. Like I said, if you have to get up earlier, or if you have to stay up later, or you have to muddy through a book that you hate to read, whatever it may be, put disciplines in place. Alarms, technology, whatever it has to make sure that you stay. Stop hitting the snooze button. Man, I wish I could have all the money that was wasted because of the snooze button. People start the morning. If you hit a snooze button, for all your listeners out there, if you guys hit the snooze button, you start your morning off by lying. Well, that's not a good discipline. And the last thing, number 4, is be a visionary. Visualize you in possession of the dream that you're looking for, the new direction you're going for, the new, it doesn't matter. It could be a new car. It could be a new dress. It can be whatever it is you're looking for. You can you put these 4 things in place and you're unstoppable. You can't miss.
Yeah, no, I think those are fantastic, Terry. Thank you. I think right now, if I just go through each of them in turn, like commitment. So, right now we need everybody to be committed. There's no room for passengers in any organizations right now. There's no room for people who have one foot in and one foot out. So, whether that means you have to streamline your organization or whatever it is, you've got to have commitment from the whole team if you're going to emerge from this in a stronger position going in. So what are some of the ways you can really drive commitment, Terry?
Through empowerment. This is something that's being missed in a lot of businesses today, even before the pandemic. Now it's becoming more of reactive. People are overreacting and all that. So what I've learned to do and what I've expressed all throughout my career is empowering your people, and do that by managing by objective. So if I wanted somebody to do something, I call them in and say, okay, how long is it going to take you to get this done? We're going to get this clarity of what needs to be done. They're going to give me a time frame, and then I'm going to check in on them. I want to check in on them a day or 2 before the project is due and just say, okay, if there's anything I can do to help you, what is that? When you empower somebody, they have in a sense their commitment of their own self. Now it's their own. You're not telling them what to do. You're not the authority over them. In this case, they committed to do this, and you've empowered them to get it done. And if they have any problem, they can bring it to you. And then as long as you can direct them in the right direction, don't do the work for them. That's not good. But you can have them bring 2 solutions with the problem. Direct them, get them to go think, go make phone calls, whatever's needed.
Yeah. And then I think what goes through all of these is the whole thing of self-responsibility, self-accountability. And if you can get people to embrace those, as you say, empower them, and then the payback on their side for the empowerment is that they are self-responsible and self-accountable.
And they're also invested, because their idea has been used, or their suggestion has been brought to light.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then when I like the you know the third one is discipline, because that's the other part I think sometimes is when you start to try and move a business forward or adjust or whatever. It's great to get everybody excited and creative and all of that, but then you need the discipline to execute.
Exactly. And one of the things I did with my air conditioning company was a lot of the companies, you can imagine that me asking my dispatcher to call every customer after one of our guys was there and get a feedback report on how we did. Well, she
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to do that. So through
Right.
that, we learned a lot of customer service issues, things that we could handle. So I just started having my guys come in at 7 in the morning, and we met for 45 minutes on training on how to talk the customer's language. This
Yeah.
is disciplines. It's not just about, getting there, but it's getting everybody to sing out of the same, songbook, same script, same thing. You don't want to be scripted. You want to be, personalize it, but everybody should be, thinking of, how the customer thinks. Put your real person hat on. A lot of times you wouldn't accept the deal that you're trying to offer, but you'll try to offer it.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great point, Terry. One great point to finish up on is that sometimes I think we forget about the fact that we're customers, we're consumers ourselves, and then when you walk through the door and you put your sales person hat on, you forget about that. Somehow you've got this instant amnesia, and as you say, you create an experience for the prospect that you would hate yourself.
And that could be just because it's a script coming down from the higher bosses. I understand that. You go into these places and you can tell it's all been scripted, but at the same time, if that doesn't build your passion, if that doesn't get you up in the morning, then go find a job that will actually, or a career or something that's going to make you want to jump out of bed and your feet hit the floor and just run with passion.
Yeah, that's great. And a beautiful segue, actually, Terry, because we always end up these sessions by asking our guest, in this case, you, what is your power tip? What do you do every day personally to set yourself up for success?
I plan my day the night before. I organize my whole day. I call it closing my day. So I take 30 to 45 minutes every day at the end of the day and it varies. It may not be maybe 4 o'clock today, maybe 5 o'clock. But anyway, I close my day and I evaluate, okay, here's what I set out to do today. This is everything I wanted to get done. And what did I do? So I have a comparison of what I was supposed to do, what I said I would do and what I didn't do. And then I look at why I didn't do that. And then that kind of helps me gauge how well I'm scheduling my time. We can't manage time, but we can learn how to schedule it and then try to stay on schedule.
Yeah, listen, great tip. Great tip. I like that idea about doing it the night before. And that just plays into the whole discipline conversation that we were just having a moment ago. It's about being disciplined about your time, because as you say, you can't create time, but you can certainly manage and be productive in how you use that time. Well, listen, Terry, this has been fantastic. Martha, has the Twitter chat gone today?
You need to reread.
Yeah. Lots of Twitter. Okay, I should go back after this and look at the Twitter feed. Okay, listen, Terry, before we go, please do tell people a bit more about yourself and what you do.
Well, I'm a business development strategist. I'm not a consultant. I'm not a coach. I get with the companies and I figure out what is their best strategy to go after the market. I have an ebook on my website, if I can give that to you. It's terryogburn.com. It's a free book. It goes out there and it kind of explains how to realign your thinking to quarterly thinking instead of yearly thinking. Let's start thinking in quarters because things are changing faster. So it's out there. Just capture it. And it's in there. There's an offer for 1 hour of my time. So if somebody wants to just have a discussion with me, just spend an hour brainstorming, masterminding over some ideas, I'd be glad to talk to them. Free consultation. Please take it, have them please take advantage of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's fantastic. And yeah, I can see the activity on the Twitter chat. Thank you so much. Listen, thanks, Terry. Thank you, Martha in Vienna, as usual, for looking after the Twitter chat. and making sure everything's running smoothly. My name is John Golden from SalesPOP, online sales magazine, and Pipeliner CRM. Oh, and before I forget, we are pretty cool here at Pipeliner, and we are now on TikTok. So check us out, and you'll see Martha featured on our TikTok channel. So please go, if you're into TikTok, please go follow us on TikTok. Listen, thanks again, Terry. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and I will see you all for another sales chat real soon. Thank you.